This is a story about the good, the bad, the ugly and the amazing future, the transformation of the S&C South Alliance, and I'm going to cut to the end of the story. The end of the story is comparing where we are now to where we were 3 or 4 years ago. KPIs stayed the same, so there's no jiggery-pokey going on with stats here, but we've delivered an 80% improvement in our safety rate. We've delivered more than what we delivered 3 years ago in terms of volume. Our track quality has gone up 20% this year, but over the 3 years, it's a progressive improvement over 25 to 30%. Our delay minutes, we used to measure ourselves in tens of thousands of minutes of delay. This year we're on 700 so far, so that's me in the wood. When we took the project on, we had 83 sites that we'd not handed back to maintenance. That's now 0. So we've got new processes, new structures of how we've made that transformation, and I've got this now 20 minutes to take you through how we've done this. So this story has a stage. Our stage is those lovely routes. Those are our customers. We deliver S&C track renewals across all of those routes, and in addition we also deliver plain line for Anglia and the South East. That's what we do. And our story also has 3 characters. Our 3 characters are Colas, Network Rail and ACOM. And when we started, to be fair, I think one of us was working for each of those. The alliance was seen as 3 individuals or 3 working individuals in the alliance. So the first thing we had to do was bring people together under the S&C South Alliance. Bringing people together made everyone have a common strategy, a common purpose, aligning people so that we could improve. In 2015, we had simple objectives. Define the strategy to keep a focus on control of the business, a focus on a business rhythm, so we knew what was going on every single week, and also bringing the alliance together. But we had to do this change in that year while also delivering 100% of what we'd taken on. How did we do this? We put a strategy in place. I'm not going to take you through it all now, but it was really simple. Getting the basics right, controlling the costs, planning and control for success, and also being the best was the 4 areas that we worked on. We started by getting the team to recognise who they were working for, be proud of working for the railway. We brought everyone, we changed the old-fashioned pictures, I've no idea where they were, to jobs that the teams had actually delivered. We spent a long time making sure that people understood the vision of what we were working to, the point of what we were doing. We brought them together and briefed them all in an environment like this on why we were doing this and what the change would be, the reasons for that change. We had complex processes, so we got the people themselves who were working with those processes to redesign them and then present them to the rest of the group on video, so we could pass that video of that new process through to everybody in language that everybody would understand. The processes that we developed were done by the people who would have to work with them. We didn't impose things from on high so that people didn't understand it. People developed the process from the bottom up. Things like track quality, we may not have understood as well as we should have as an organisation. So we did some really simple diagrams, drew out and explained what the ballpark was and what we had to do with track quality. We also had to drive that consistent delivery. And I've made one change to this graph, and I'm going to tell you what the change is at the end. We also had to drive consistent delivery, and this is a graph showing where we were at the beginning with our panel installation rates with the Kirov. And we had a huge scattergun of times, recycling times, from 50 minutes down to about 17 minutes on some of our good sites for the time it was taking for the Kirov to install each and every panel. And the lower sections there between 15 minutes and to 28 minutes, that was one particular group that was working and delivering of that recycling time. The ones at the top was a second group. So we brought teams from across the country to work with each other to combine and understand that knowledge of how one group was doing it an awful lot quicker than another group. 2015, 16, we came together as one team and we started our journey. So was it good, bad, or ugly? It was ugly. We delivered everything. We delivered double-digit performance in all of our KPIs, but it was ugly. We sent 13 people home in that year who could not go to work the next day. Our safety performance was not good enough. I was talking with Stephen Barber about this last night. This is a graph of the number of fatal train accidents that have happened, and I've nicked these from Mark Kahn, these slides. There has been an improving trend through engineering, and Stephen was telling me about this last night, about the way that we've engineered our trains to reduce the number of accidents that we're having. We're not there yet with the way that we're working with our Team Orange, our frontline working people. We are nowhere near from it, of making that same step change in terms of the way that we're dealing with safety. Yes, you can compare it to others, Severn Trent, BP, but do they have a different working environment? Have we pushed this safety message hard enough, and have we really got that engagement at the front line? Because times have changed, haven't they? Dave, times have changed, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
Is anyone in this photo? Dave, I'm not going to mention you. So this is. Does anyone know where this is? Waterloo. What year? 73. I think it's late 80s, early 90s. Lunchtime conversation later. I've got 20 minutes. My favourite individual on this? This is when we called the suntan our PPE. So times have changed. Fast forward to last year. This was our team, the S&C South Alliance, delivering at Waterloo. So same location. That's the transformation that we have started in the way that our frontline work. But what's going to happen in the next 20 years? What's going to happen in the next 10 years to make another transition in terms of the way we deal with our safety? We are the people that are going to drive this. And we had to drive this in the S&C South in 2017 because we were nowhere near the mark in terms of safety. So our objectives in 2017 were quite simple again. We had to keep on doing what we were doing, improving, but we had to focus on safety, and we also had to improve our track quality. So how did we start? 2017. We listened. We did 65 one-to-one, face-to-face interviews with frontline Orange, Team Orange, as you can call them, individuals who are out there every single weekend. We asked them, what do we need to do to support you in being safer? We got a big long list. We then brought this team together, who are the management team, the wider team, to say, okay, these are the things that we need to do to improve our safety. How do we do this? So we developed training, frontline training. We called it the boot camps. In those training sessions, we had OLE, because that is part of Permanent Way. We also had safety, we also had behavioural training, and we also had technical skill training. We did something similar when I was in London Underground. It's good to see some of those old colleagues then. This was a kind of upskilled version of this, but we focused a lot more on behaviours. We focused a lot more on technical skills. These safety boot camps were 12,000 hours in the end, 162 individuals that we passed through from across the whole country. Yes, I've got a short video which will just take you through what we did. This year, the S&C South Alliance are focused on safety. What does this mean for us? We've spoken to all of our teams, and what they needed was everybody to be upskilled in their safety understanding, and made simpler processes, everyone clear on what those processes are. On the engineering side, we need to give everyone core skills. These core skills include fitting LOSMAT plates, correcting twists, basic things, increasing the skill level of everybody.
I've just done finding out how to work out a twist fault, and then
packed it with the row bells.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It's sort of
Interesting.
enhanced my knowledge of it. It's definitely worth doing, yeah.
Small tool training, so looking at modular bearers and how to align.
We've had a fair bit of classroom work, how to interact with people, how to take their feelings on board and understand what's going on with them.
Today it's just a bit of an insight to what more goes on about the health and safety, how it is crucial within the railway environment.
It matters to me because I coordinate the whole of patrolmen to go out and cover the sites.
I've had quite positive feedback from everyone, yeah. I think building their confidence has come up.
Yes, the training's gone really well. Yeah, we've been down at Who Junction, learning all aspects of title station, GPS, relative to our job going forward. Yeah, it's been brilliant.
Yeah, it's been an excellent week. Yes, there's a lot of things that, you know, I'm quite an experienced tech myself, but I say I've learnt a few things.
Learnt a lot from it really, because I've managed a 20-odd trackman, so yeah.
Definitely see a real change. Like I said, hopefully we get these machine files working, we get the 3D working, we get our dozers kitted out for the equipment that we need for it. We will be pushing for 3D dozing, machine control dozing, which will help us know when.
When you're out on site on a renewal, you're under pressure to get things done. So for the training purposes, you know, this is excellent.
Should speed it up, everything should be a lot more accurate. So yeah, it's been interesting. Like I said, I've got to wait and see what this Judo trolley can do.
So we're also focused on track quality. The tech's behind me learning new technology, the Judo trolley, to improve the quality of ride for the S&C that we're putting in.
This boot camp that we have launched is 10,000 hours, covering people skills, increasing the respect between our teams, covering engineering, bringing everyone up to the same level, a higher level, and safety, simplifying our processes and then making them clear with every single individual. And we are also increasing the skill level of our techs as well, 3D dozing, GPS dozing, all the things that will make a difference on site to be safer.
Okay, the thing I really learned from the time I spent was 7 weeks of hell, I think, in Who Junction. But the thing I really learned was a lot of our frontline teams have got probably 2 or 3 years worth of experience in terms of the real frontline who are employed in. And we need to train those guys. We need to carry on that training. We need to commit. I'll put you in some lights. We need to commit to taking people through basic skills, and we will continue to do this. The other thing I really learned was we need to demonstrate why we are doing things with that front line. An example being we'd imposed a few months before full orange to improve our safety and visibility. The guys just didn't understand why we were doing this. It was only when you explained and we looked at what people were generally wearing. So generally what people were wearing in the summer months, remember the overcoat, not the overcoat, but the bib thing. That was, sorry? Yeah, over a black item underneath. That was generally what most people were wearing out on site, and they were always dirty. And the top section was always covered over. So when you looked at the people from a distance, as this individual on the left-hand side, there's not much visibility on what he's wearing. When he's walking or she's walking towards a danger, nothing is moving on this top area, on their torso. It's only their arms that are generally moving. So it was when we looked at the reflectiveness of the way people were walking, when they were put reflectives on their arms, that we decided that people needed to be fully seen, and that included orange to the sleeve, so that they would have reflection when they were walking towards an RRV, etc. When we explained that and the reasoning behind that with the teams, they got it instantly. And you could see the way that they were changing in terms of their safety behaviours. We did some other things in the year, introducing a safety call every single week, with around about 80 attendees that dial in. And we also started a supplier forum with all of our suppliers as well, talking about safety and only safety. This was a video footage, same person walking towards the camera, not with full orange, but almost, versus what we traditionally were wearing on site. And the teams kind of saw that and thought, right, okay, I want to be visible on site. And this helped us communicate why we made some changes. What was the results? So this is where we are at the moment. We are still having too many instances. This is our lost time accident rates, and we need to focus on this even more to reduce the number of incidents, but it's having an effect. I just want to talk about the technical training that we did, and I want to publicly thank Roy for coming down and guiding us on some of the technical installation and training that we put in place. Thank you. LOSMAT plates, we made sure that our teams fully understood how to talk, what tools to use, what tool setting was it on that tool? Was it setting 2 and 3, or was it setting 3 and 3? Because we don't say on the tools, this is talk, etc., etc. It wasn't simple. So we looked at every single tool we were using and revised it and made sure that it was simple for people who were on the front line. Twists, we made sure everyone had an understanding of how to measure and the impact and basic understanding of twists. The picture, though, that does it for me is bottom right. We introduced black hats. Many organisations have introduced black hats. It demonstrates the person on charge to look after safety on site. But the thing that really got me excited was his reaction when he was given that black hat. It demonstrates that he understands the importance of that black hat. And we need to instill that more in some of our other black hats. But that's the type of recognition and understanding that we need to carry on towards. Track quality. The Guido, I've said it correctly now. When I first introduced this, I was calling it Judo, and everyone's calling it Judo. So it's the Guido. Has transformed our ability to accurately record pre-tamp and post-tamp the track position of our installations and feed the tamper with the best information we possibly can. This has transformed that aspect of track quality, as well as the 3D dosing. A lot of our teams were not using this beforehand. That's made a real difference in our track quality. Again, just using the same measure that we've used for the last 3 years in terms of our track quality. We've gone from, I'm not allowed to say the worst. No, we were the worst. We were the worst in track for our track quality. But I think we're up there now, and we're going to keep on going with our track quality. So the teams have really got why we need to install good tracks. So 2017, you can tell me over lunch if it's good, bad or ugly. I think our focus on safety has been good. I think our demonstration of track quality has been good. We really need to recognise the second tier individuals' labour and carry on that training to ensure we don't have any ugly situations going forward. We will do this. So 2018, again, we're going to carry on focusing on safety and delivering a sustainable future, both a macro level in terms of the whole impact that we make to our line-side neighbours, and also the micro stuff in terms of on-site, how we are managing each individual waste that we have on site. And we're focused on absolute engineering excellence. Neil, your team in the North are leading the way on this, and a compliment to you and the team, and Nick. But we are absolutely focused on picking up our heels on this. Yes, I've got a boring plan, which I'm not going to take you through all now, which has got our strategy and tactics of how we need to do this. But more so, it's getting the North are helping us. Nick's come down to help us on a few sites, and our leadership team to get the culture change that is needed to understand why we need to deliver line speed handbacks, higher speed handbacks. The post-it notes are the things that we need to do to enable this to happen on all sites. Just taking Steve's challenge, high speed handback, we've got 12 sites planned in at higher than 50. Thank you very much. 11 planned in at line speed. Don't ask what the line speed is. And then 25 sites that we've still got the opportunity to review and improve. Focus on safety. RRVs, we need to do a lot more work in how they are moving around our sites, how we treat them in terms of safety. Briefings and purpose and quality, I think, is broken. The briefing that you have in the site cabins, the briefing that you get from the COS and the briefing from the ES, we need to really sort this out. Smart use of technology, I'll come to in a minute. Engagement in our society. I explained so 10 years ago, if there was a complaint on site, what happened? Somebody picked up a number and dialed it and maybe got through to somebody or not. When we explained to our frontline team that now, if you are creating a noisy site, you will have a camera videoing you without you knowing, which is then posted on Twitter, tagged into Network Rail, and before you know it, not only your jobs are in jeopardy, but also some quite senior individuals as well. So this demonstrating or explaining to people on the front level in terms of what impacts their behaviours would have has had a real change in terms of some of our gangs. We are trying to encourage families to watch the great work that we do. It's exciting stuff we do, ripping out and changing large parts of the infrastructure. So we are encouraging the time-lapse videos that we do take to be sent to loved ones so we can see what we can do, encourage the young individuals. There's some also experiment stuff in terms of time-lapse. We use quite a lot of those points. We know the distances between those points. Therefore, we can do automatic recognition of measuring the performance rates as the track is put in just by a single camera. Just to back up, this is safety cam. So when an accident happens with time-lapse, we can go back and watch every 4 seconds, or sorry, every 2 seconds of the incident taking place. So just using some of that technology going forward. So that is the story of the transformation for the S&C South Alliance in terms of where we're going and also where we've come from. Again, going to the end of the story in terms of the performance and the transformation we've had in terms of some of those stats. I was asked to talk about one more thing, and I will do this in the 4 minutes I've got left. I'm a track engineer, I'm proud of it. Generally end up working most Christmases, and so does the railway. Well, so I thought. Not stations. Some stations remain closed but don't really get a lot of use at Christmas. So I was asked this question, is it possible for the railway to do more of our assets, particularly at Christmas? So we did. This was Christmas Day this year, Euston Station. We fed 140 homeless individuals who were invited in. I worked with 2 charities to make this happen. It was a heck of a day. I'm just going to tell you about what I learned from doing this very quickly. We had a guest book from the individuals who came along. On the left-hand side, I won't read it all out, but in summary, Terry had been an addict for years. Today's going to be great hope and joy and perseverance. The light has gone on, which will be in my heart, which will take the darkness away. There was some real emotion being given out on the day. The day went global. Yes, my ugly face. That's Hong Kong, that's Belgium, that's Canada, BBC, and Australian news. So yes, we had a heck of a reaction. So what? What did we achieve? Conquering the red tape. The police initially said to me, Steve, Euston Station is a Category A terrorist target. Christmas Day has never been hit worldwide by the terrorists, and you're advertising the thing. This is not going to happen. That was 4 weeks out. So conquering that red tape to get people to move to a place where we could do this was good. The railway family, we are loved if we deliver correctly and if we deliver good things. The volume of interest that we had was huge. We had 140 guests inside, and we also had contingency for the people who... I've not really dealt with many people on crystal meth in my railway career. But saying no to someone who I was informed showed all the signs of being high on crystal meth, meaning they couldn't come into an operational railway station, wasn't easy and one of the most difficult things I've ever done. But we had contingency outside for them, a jerk restaurant set up, and we had some presents for them outside as well. So that was interesting. St Mungo's Donations, one of the charities that we were working with, used to get donations every 3 hours. In December, that went to every 3 minutes. If you invite 7 media teams, 21 turn up. We had BBC, we had Sky, we had most of the UK covered, but then Al Jazeera turned up, then Dubai turned up, then Japanese turned up. It was bonkers. There is great support for the railway family when we do things well. What does all this mean then? There was a 14-fold increase in social media traffic for Network Rail at Euston in December, when you compare it to 2016 versus 2017. So 2.2 million impressions on Twitter versus 240,000 the previous year. But it wasn't the number of people interested in this that was impressive. On the right-hand side, you've got, so because of social media, you can analyse the type of language that is being used. Is it positive language or is it negative language? So we can do analysis on that. So on the right-hand side, December 2016, you can see that I think 18% was negative about Network Rail, 29% was positive. That flipped completely. That was the 240,000 mentions. The following year, 2.3 million mentions, 65% positive and 1% negative. All of this makes a difference when we're planning big programs, when we are taking over the Brighton Main Line, like we're shortly about to do for a blockade. People get confidence in us, not only to deliver if they have a good impression of us, but also it helps us to kind of plan our long-term future. I'm proud to work for the railway. Thank you very much for PWI for letting me present. That's our future. Thank you.